Hey guys, it's John from Primo Knives here, and we are a small family-run kitchen knife company in Knoxville, Tennessee, where we make some of the best knives in the world. And today I've got some really awesome pieces to share with you. I have the honor of participating in the Damasteel Chef's Invitational. Now, this is an international knife show that's put on by Damasteel, which is a company in Sweden that makes some of the best steel in the world. They have a special patented process of layering powdered metals together and then patterning those metals in a very cool way that is just unmistakable. There's no other steel like Damasteel, and if you talk to any knife maker or knife collector, they're sure to tell you that Damasteel is one of the top tier products out there on the market. So we're super honored to have the chance to participate in this show. Now, it's been a really great show for me in the past. I've participated now for, I think about 5 years. And I've won 2 Best in shows. I've won the Best Bread Knife a couple times. I've won Best Cleaver. And so I'm really excited to throw some entries in the ring again this year and see what we can bring home. And so now I'm going to take you guys through the collection that I've made for the show. Now, these are all one-of-a-kind pieces. I have put hundreds of hours into this collection and made some really awesome pieces that I've never made before. And so something about this show is that it gives me the opportunity to kind of highlight new ideas and to try some new stuff out and to make some really cool stuff. So let's take a look. The first knife that I have for the Damasteel Invitational is this Chinese cleaver. So this piece is made with the grosser rose center pattern, which is a really cool pattern that has these kind of circular masses that go across the top and the bottom of the blade, and then it kind of has this dense area in the middle of the steel. Now, I decided to pair this piece with an anodized aluminum bolster, which is super lightweight, and a beautiful piece of cross-cut cocobolo. It's just a gorgeous cut of wood, has some really rich color to it. And I love that you can see the growth rings, which really echo nicely against the Gross Roaster steel pattern. Now, this knife comes in right at about 6 3/4 inches. And for you metric folks, that is about 173 millimeters. So it's a good size knife, great for vegetables, especially. It has a very thin grind. So this is using about a 2 millimeter stock across the spine here. So it's a very thin knife and very tall. And speaking of tall, it comes in at about 3 5/8 inches tall, or about 93 millimeters in height from the edge of this knife to the heel, or to the top of the blade. Like I said, this is a really handy knife. If you look at some videos on YouTube, you'll see some great chefs in East Asia using these to prepare street food, but I'll guarantee you that none are as nice as this one. It's super lightweight, has great balance, it's really easy to throw around in the hand. As with all my Primo knives, I round the spine and I also polish and round the choil here. So there's no rough spots for your hands. It's very easy to handle, very speedy, fun to use. It's great to be able to scoop up your food as you cook it, as you cut it. And I've also seen some people use these to kind of as a spatula almost in the pan while they're cooking. So it's a great knife. If you dig this one, please be sure to vote for it in the Damasteel show. You can check out one of our links below, and we'll have the registration that you can click on to attend the event. It's all online, so anybody can come to it. And when you're there, you get the chance to vote for your favorite piece. So if you fancy this cleaver, vote for it. And if you can see it in your home, in your kitchen, then be sure to snag it on November 16th. Next up, we've got this Nakiri knife. Now, this is made with the Damasteel Graphic pattern. This is their newest pattern, and they say it's their most chaotic. So, and I have to agree with that. I did a really nice matte finish on this piece with a special copper bronze bolster and a curly Nara wood handle. Now, this bolster you might notice is a little bit different from all of our other Primo bolsters, where I eliminated the ridges going around it to kind of give it a more clean, crisp, more plain, streamlined kind of look, because I just thought it was a really nice, clean, streamlined knife. This is a great knife for doing all sorts of vegetables. It's specifically made for doing vegetables. It's a Japanese style cleaver. And you'll notice not nearly as much height as the Chinese style cleaver, but around the same amount of length. And this one comes in at about 6 5/8 inches long, or about 172 millimeters long. And you notice it has about a standard height of most chef's knives. So in height, it's just a little bit over 2 inches, or in metric, it is about 54 millimeters tall. Super lightweight. This again is using about 2 millimeter stock, so it's very thin, and ground very thin as well, all the way, with a slight convex in the belly, in the middle of the knife here, which will really help with food release. I used a really cool different bolster, as I mentioned before. This one just has a really nice, clean look to it, smooth fit up against the handle. And then this curly Nara wood is a really cool wood. It's very simple, understated, has some nice kind of tiger mark stripes in it. It's very buttery, gold looking. Just a very classy knife. So we will have this available on November 16th at the Damasteel Chef's Invitational. Next up, I've got this 200 millimeter K-tip knife in the Damascus Thor pattern. I decided to go with something a little bit different on the finish of this piece. This is a very bold pattern from Damasteel, and this is part of their Damascus series, which is more like a Sanmai type steel, where there's a solid core steel with pattern steel on either side of that sandwich. And so I went with kind of a mirror polish on this piece, just to kind of help pop that pattern and make the boldness really stand out. Now, this is paired with an anodized black bolster, as well as a really cool piece of blue dyed maple burl from my dude Burls and Swirls. And it's very nicely stabilized wood, feels really nice in the hand. It's super smooth and very well balanced. So you'll notice that this knife has kind of a slight bit of belly to it, so it's good for rocking cuts or push cuts or pull cuts. It has the K-tip on it, Kirtsuke tip, which is nice for kind of getting into things if ever you need a pointy tip. Super cool piece. This one comes in right at about 7 3/4 inches, as I was saying before, or 200 millimeters. So it's a great, just medium-sized blade. And we're just about 2 inches at the heel there, or about 50 millimeters. Great balance on this piece, very lightweight. Balances right there in front of the bolster, which for a knife this size is somewhat difficult because these tend to be a little more front heavy than a lot of other knives. And as with all of our Primo knives, it has the rounded spine and rounded choil, so it's very comfortable to hold and to maneuver in any different direction. Next up, I've got something that's totally new for me. This is a Deba knife. That's spelled D-E-B-A. And this is a very specific Japanese style knife that's traditionally used for removing fish heads. I've always wanted to make one of these knives. They're super cool. And these feature a chisel grind. So you can see that this knife has a nice 3/4 height grind, flat grind on one side, and is left fully flat on the other side. So this allows the Damasteel pattern to really be opened up in a really unique way, and allows you to really see what's going on inside the steel. So on the beveled side, you're actually getting a look at the inside of the pattern and the way that the steel has been ground. Now this is paired with a brass bolster. It's been antiqued. And a really beautiful piece of black dyed maple burl from Burls and Swirls. This is a really heavy duty knife. This is not an everyday kitchen knife. This is a special occasion when you need to like hack up something, if you need to bust open some squash, if you need to break open some frozen hamburger patties, which I don't recommend, but you know, we've all been there. If you need to even debone something or get in, you know, really just want to chop into some cooked chicken, it's a great knife to use where you don't really have to worry as much about a really fine, thin knife, where you want a lot of mass behind the knife. So like I said, it has almost a 1/4 inch spine here. It's fully rounded over, as all of our Primo knives are, and has a rounded choil here so that it's very comfortable to use. You can really get a lot of swing out of this knife. That's kind of the cool thing about it. So you can kind of think of it as like a cleaver almost, where, you know, it's just made to like hack through some stuff. Now, luckily for us, the Damasteel is super durable and super tough, so it can handle this type of abuse if ever it needs to be inflicted upon it. So, super cool knife. This is a one of a kind. I will not ever be making another piece like this. Exactly. So if you want it, you better get on it. All right, next up, I've got this Damasteel Tsujihiki. Now, the Tsujihiki is a Japanese style knife that's just a lightweight general slicing knife. Now, this one's made from the Drakkar pattern, but I actually decided to forge this steel and kind of manipulate the pattern a little bit more. Typically, the Drakkar is just the basic layered pattern made to emulate the side of a Viking ship. But I used a randomizing die and hot forged it to create a really cool random pattern in the steel. Now, this is forged from 2mm thick stock, but it's ground to a distal taper, so it's super flexible, but yet razor sharp, super thin. So I really like how flexible this knife is. If ever you have a time where you need to like get into something, it's great for cutting silver skin off of, say, a pork loin. Great for slicing through onions, whatever you want. But it's super thin, so it's just going to glide through whatever you've got. Very lightweight, given the thinness of it as well. And it's paired with the anodized aluminum bolster and a piece of 5,000-year-old bog oak. Now, this is actually a piece of wood that was pulled from a Ukrainian bog that was put there about 5,000 years ago. And we actually have the carbon dating on this wood, so it's super cool. This is included with the purchase of the piece when you buy it. You get that radiocarbon dating. It's like a big knife, you know, it's not huge. It's coming in at about 8.5 inches long. And for you metric fans, that is about 210 millimeters. And it's not very deep at the heel either. You can see it's about 1 3/4 inches. Yeah, about 1 3/4 inches tall. Or again, for you metric folks, that is just under 40 millimeters in height from the heel to the top of the handle here. Very nice balance on it, very lightweight, easy to wield. Really great knife. Next up, I've got this Vinland pattern Damasteel paring knife. A super simple knife, very handy, very easy. This is one of our most popular knives, and I decided to do something a little bit different with the shape on it. It has a little more of this swoop to the top of the blade and a nice flat edge with some swoop to the bottom of it too. It's paired with an antique bronze bolster and a very simple piece of Claro walnut for the handle. Not much frills about this. A little bit thick at the spine here, but it tapers down really nicely. And so this knife could be great for boning, great for taking apart a chicken, great for breaking down silver skin, awesome knife for garlic, smaller things. It's coming in at about 4.5 inches, as I said, and that is about 120 millimeters, you metric fans, and it's a short knife at about 3/4 inch tall, so, or 20 millimeters. Very lightweight, easy to move around, easy wield, super classic. This will look great in your tool roll, great in any collection, and be just a super handy knife to have. Next up, I've got this really sweet Damasteel boning knife. Now this is a great classic styled fillet or boning knife with about a 6.5 inch edge and about a 7-inch overall length. And this is in the Gravic pattern Damasteel, which is their newest pattern. And you can see at this scale, the pattern is super tight. It's not nearly as blown up as some of the larger blades because of the thinner stock. So it's really cool to kind of see how tight that pattern can get. Now I paired this with a really awesome handle. This has an aged bronze bolster. And this handle is made from a stacked arrangement of ambonia burl and walnut. And so you get this nice stripe pattern. This is a totally unique, one-of-a-kind piece from us at Primo that it's unlike anything else we'll ever make again. Something that's really cool about the Damasteel Invitational is that this gives us an opportunity to make some pieces that I wouldn't make otherwise, just because of the rarity of the materials that are involved. This piece is really nice. It's pretty stout. It's got some flex to it. Not as much flex as a typical fillet knife, but this would be great for deboning, also great for fish. It's got this nice little notch at the bottom of the handle that prevents your hand from sliding up onto the blade while you're all greasy and have stuff on your hands. And the knife has this nice little area right here that I really like for kind of getting into, say, stringier pieces of the cut that you're trying to make. Very fun knife to use, very unique, one-of-a-kind piece that will only be available at the Damasteel Invitational on November 16th. Next up is the largest piece that we have available for the Damasteel Invitational. Now this is a really cool knife, another one that I've not really tried before. This is a Yanagiba, which is a Japanese style shoshimi slicing knife. Now again, this has a single bevel on it. So you'll see that one side has the bevel and one side has this beautiful flat grind. And so it's able to give you two different patterns on the knife that are both really cool. I did a matte finish on this piece, so it's rather understated if I had to say so. This piece has a thicker spine on it, so there's no flex really to the blade. It's very stout, very stiff. This allows you to just use the weight of the blade to make your cuts, to make very gentle pull cuts through whatever tuna or other cut of meat you're trying to cut. It's be a great slicing knife for prime rib or just a showpiece that you'd like to have around. This is made with the corrosion pattern, which is one of my favorite patterns that Damasteel has. It has these really nice circles that repeat themselves across the steel. And again, I like how it opens up on the beveled side of the blade. I paired this with a really nice piece of blue dyed maple burl from Burls and Swirls right here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and an aged brass bolster. So it has just a really nice contrast overall. Awesome piece, really big, like I was saying. It is right at 11.5 inches long, and metric, that's 290 millimeters in length, and about 1.5 inches in height right there at the heel. So super cool piece, one of a kind. And finally, I've got this really cool bread knife. Now this is a 10.5 inch, almost 10 3/4 inch serrated bread knife made from Damasteel's Gravic pattern. And so again, this is their newest pattern, and they say it's their most chaotic. I really love how dense it is and how much there is going on with it. Much like in the Grosser pattern, you see these kind of undulating circles going down the blade, which are really nice. But this one has a little bit more character to it, and it really looks like it's moving. You know, it almost looks like a dragon coiling up on itself or something. It's really neat. And I love how it works with these serrations in the blade. Now, I went for kind of a long slicer kind of profile on this piece. It's a one-of-a-kind knife, so there's no other like it. It's paired with an anodized aluminum bolster and a really cool new wood to me called cheese wood. Just feels really nice in the hand. So this knife comes in at about 275 millimeters or 10 3/4 inches. So again, it's a long knife, great for cutting through hard breads, or if you need to cut through a bunch of meat, it'd be great for cutting through brisket or anything like that. Awesome knife, super lightweight, again, super flexible given that it's made from this 2mm stock. Not a whole lot of taper to it, just a little bit taper, but again, since this is more of a sawing action knife, we want there to be a nice consistent thickness through the spine. Really cool knife, one of a kind, there's no other like it. So I hope you guys dig the lineup. I'm super stoked about this collection. Again, this is only going to be available one day, and these are all one-of-a-kind pieces, and there won't be anything else like them. They're made by me and my hands in my shop in Knoxville, Tennessee at Primo Knives. And if you like this stuff, please subscribe to our channel. You can click the link down below and get on board with us. And we'll keep on showing you more cool stuff as it gets made.